Safety be damned, only I will drive it. Ha ha. Oh, God. This thing's huge. Rolls Royce are a fascinating breed. Obviously, they're very expensive. They're handmade. They are the height of luxury, and they, of course, have the pedigree and history to match. If I'm going to vintage race my Formula B, I should have a luxurious tow vehicle. It was something like $160,000 or $180,000 automobile in the 1990s. And do you know, it's a lot easier to fit my little family in a land yacht rather than this here pasta rocket. Because at the end of the day, there are only two kinds of people, the haves and the have-yachts. What's up, people? So today I am here in the middle of nowhere with my Rolls Royce that I bought for $8,000. Now, normally that would be a terrible idea. I'm gonna take it to my shop after that. I'm gonna review it with you guys and show what it needs because these are actually really, really amazing cars. And there's just a couple of tiny things about them that people misunderstand and frankly beat up on, which is stupid. And I understand the psychology why, so I'm just gonna call out all the idiots that don't like these Rolls Royce. Anyway, okay, so how about I just pull it in and see if everything goes well. Now you might ask, Casey, why are you trailering it? Instead of driving it to the shop? Well, I do have it, what is the word? Registered, titles of my name, all that jazz. And I got a plate for it, and insurance and stuff. But this thing, by the way, this thing has two 1990s cell phones in it, if you may have heard the dial tone there. In any case, when they pulled it in, about doing the tires, it was leaking some fuel. Can you believe that? Aha. Well, it's from the 90s, and it's been sitting around for a while, so I can believe it. Okay, so now let's hope this, like, better of 6,000 pound car doesn't bust the door right off my trailer. Please don't do that. All right. Everybody be cool. I can't see shit. Okay. You know, this thing is relatively wide. Oh my God. Oh God. This thing's huge. This thing's really wide. Okay, I'm in. Now, turn this thing off. What the hell happened to that? I'm gonna have to fix that. It's got a pretty dash, doesn't it? Except that's broken. All right, okay, so here it is. Everything, I'm in. No sex jokes. Let's keep it classy. We only make race and religion jokes here. Sadly, this here, if you guys look, this is where it got rubbed coming out of the trailer because the guy, it was in the trailer for a couple of days or so. The PSI is something like over 2,000 PSI in the system, and it holds that there in reserve, so you can use the brakes a lot of times before it goes away, even if the engine dies. But this guy just like instantly fired up, slammed it in reverse, went, and the engine died because it was cold, and he just stuffed it in, stuck the gas, and it had no PSI. And so it just died and went zipping right out of his trailer and then nailed this. So I got the estimate done just for fixing this properly, and then let them take care of that. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to fix a couple of tiny rust spots going on. So I'll probably cut and weld that in properly. And then, of course, I'll pay more money on top of the estimate, and I'll do even more stuff to make it really nice. But yeah, I just, I don't know why they... I didn't expect that they would wash the wheels afterward, but like how they got this dirty is beyond me. I've never seen a car, motorcycle, or truck wheel come back this dirty from getting a new tire. I don't get it. Obviously, I had the hubcaps on before, so I don't fault them in any way for it being dirty here. It's just that when this went in, it was pretty clean. Okay. Press one. Sadly, I got my cleaning products and stuff out of my home because I don't really wash cars here typically. But anyway, it was nice. Today I changed oil in the Genius Garage Corvette, and the guys got the Guanchi that we're going to restore with Genius Garage and clean that up. And then, of course, since I do my own stuff in the back, I was working on this, so it was kind of fun. The journey is the destination, like a sailboat, and I like sailboats and racing sailboats, so why not have a land yacht? Because at the end of the day, there are only two kinds of people, the haves and the have-yachts. And the land yacht is inside. It is day 2, and now I'd like to do something more intelligent where you can actually see the car and go over it. Rolls Royce are a fascinating breed. Obviously, they're very expensive. They're handmade. They are the height of luxury, and they, of course, have the pedigree and history to match. But the funny thing is, especially in the United States, they're not really appreciated. And, shall we say, pre-owned ones, second-hand ones, are also not appreciated until they get to a point where they have truly classic lines, you know, big pre-war Phantoms and such. Those are exciting, and Ghosts, and you name it. And even up through the 50s and 60s, Rolls-Royce is what I would consider very aristocratic in its design. They're not going to change. They're going to make the height of luxury, the height of style. It's not about performance. It's not about keeping up in that regard, keeping up with the Joneses. So things live in style for a long periods of time. But of course, the style changes. This particular one being the 1996 Silver Spur, it's one of the last few years when Rolls-Royce was still basically the Rolls-Royce company before it was sold out. And if I'm not mistaken, 1999, that was the first year of the Bentley Arnage and I think Rolls-Royce Silver Seraph, which is effectively the same platform and a whole new, more modern car. But this one reflects the end Rolls-Royce as a company, and in future videos we're going to see more about the suspension and such, but on this one I'd like to pop it open and take a peek. This particular one is not the turbocharged variant you find in some of the Bentleys. This is a naturally aspirated V8. This is a proper Rolls-Royce engine. The architecture has been around for a very long time in this one. Now the reason I particularly wanted a late 90s car is it's still Rolls-Royce that goes back many years, but we're talking modern electronic fuel injection. No longer has the Bosch K-Jetronic that we know from the 80s. That would also be in the Ferrari Mondial over there. Now, there's nothing wrong with K-Jetronic, but in a sense, it's sophisticatedly primitive. And also, it limits horsepower a little bit, and the electronic fuel injection can do a great job in that. So that's what it is. It's kind of the end of the road, naturally aspirated Rolls-Royce electronic fuel injection. I really like that. This car weighs a lot. Because in a sense, they can afford to make it weigh a lot. You're not trying to go fast. You're not trying to specifically handle. You're trying to have an incredible ride. So, of course, it's about luxury, which you're going to find with a beautiful wood throughout the dashboard, obviously the doors, beautiful Connolly leather from England, which, depending on the previous owner's attention to detail and care, some will be nicer than others. This one's decent. It's passable. I'm going to consider it a well-survived driver condition, which is going to be just fine for me because that's exactly what I want to do. You'll also notice that on the doors, the handles, the electronic switches for locks and windows, which is also seeable right here on the driver. This goes, I'm not actually sure just yet how far it goes back, but a friend of mine has an early 70s Rolls Royce, and it has identical switches on it. So over at least 30 years was used by the same sorts of thing. Now, you'll also notice, very English with regard to the gauges, simple, laid out nicely, but all of these things are metal. This is not chrome-plated plastic. And that's really where you get the Rolls-Royce quality, things that will last generations. Has a normal DIN radio in it. You push your Rolls-Royce symbol here, and you've got your ashtray. But where am I to put my humidor? And where's the cut crystal decanter anyway? Well, that's more like the pre-war Rolls, shall we say. Some things to fix. I'm going to redo the headliner. It's gotten kind of gross for some reason. Also, the sun visors, if you look, these are actually leather, and this is a beautiful wood slide for the mirror. Well, the driver one needs a little love. It fell out. I'm sure I can remedy that and fix it. Steering wheel leather is pretty good. This is obviously a car with an airbag. I've considered removing that and the airbag and putting in a beautiful wooden Nardi. Safety be damned, only I will drive it. Ha ha. And it's like a woman in really tall high heels. Give away comfort and safety for looking fabulous. Yes, we're all the same. Okay, anyway. So the other beauty about the Silver Spur is a very large and ample back seat. Now I'm 6 foot, what am I, 6'1"-ish? Very long legs. And I have lots of room to the driver's seat. And the driver's seat is all the way back because I like it like that. Also, you have these beautiful tables that swing out nicely. Oh, look at that. You can put your drink on it, a laptop. This car, being a height of luxury from the 1996, has got small TVs and Bose headrests and a VCR back in the trunk. And it came with The Beach with Leonardo DiCaprio. I don't make the choices, okay? That just came with it from a previous owner. Anyway, moving right along, you've got your ventilation in the rear as well. You can close and open it with these beautiful actual metal openings. There are my Rolls Royce hubcaps with the logos. One of the logos with the quick turn fastener is missing, so I need to source another one of these for my other one. One of my hubcaps, well, it seems 2 of them have flaking chrome. One's real bad, the other one's passable as a driver for a while, so need to do something about that. Definitely need a new Rolls-Royce logo. But the rear seats, I don't think I have the battery connected right now, but the rear seats are actually electronically adjustable too. I guess if you want to recline more, you have that much room to get away with. And also, the center console here, which I'll be cleaning up a little bit better. The leather is certainly showing its age right now. How do I open this? Casey, don't break your rolls. Is it a magnet? Oh, no. Look at this. A telephone in the back. Brilliant. There's also a telephone in the front, too. Again, guys, the height of luxury. And if I'm not mistaken, in 1996, depending on how this car was optioned, it was something like $160,000 or $180,000 automobile in the 1990s. That's saying something. It really is incredible. You're not just paying for a name, which I know a lot of Americans like to write off things like that, and especially, and with respect, when I'll say we as people can't afford something, it's beyond us and we want it. We try to find reasons to dislike it. It's the same thing as human nature with people. If we're jealous of somebody, we will try to find a reason to justify our negative feelings, to say why that person's bad or negative or weird or something like that. And people do the same thing with cars, but truthfully, Rolls-Royce is the best. And at the very least, it's the height of handcrafted English luxury. And I think that's neat, that's fun. And if you have the height of English, yes, English luxury, you need The Beach with Leonardo DiCaprio. I've never seen that movie. I don't know, is it as good as Lawrence of Arabia? In any case, full-size spare, you can see the VCR here. You got various safety things and roadside deals going on there. And so that's kind of that. So let's talk about things Casey needs to fix. The presumably soft close on the trunk does not work and the trunk is not locking. I have to fix that. The rear window has a very fine filament in it, like you'll see in Range Rovers and such, for a defroster. But water has gotten to the copper and worked its way up and corroded that. So you really can't fix that. That would require replacing the glass. As a driver, I can grin and bear it for a while, but that'll be something I have to do. Sadly, this is where the delivery truck driver squished my fender, so I got an estimate locally, and we'll be taking care of that. I will also be fixing some rust spots. As you notice, there's a little rust going on here. There's a tiny spot on the rocker on the left, and the other fender also has this. This is Rolls-Royce's rubber guard, but it holds moisture in there and ends up rusting. So I'm going to do the metal work on that myself here. And then obviously when it's time to fix this, I'm going to pay the painter more money to, make other aspects of the paint beautiful. Again, I really want to enjoy this car as a driver. I'm not specifically trying to win any shows, but I want it to represent well. And I also want this to be an opportunity for me to have fun, experiment a little. Might even consider seeing if I can put a trailer hitch on it, because I think if I'm going to vintage race my Formula B, I should have a luxurious tow vehicle. Yes. Anyway. Okay, so put new tires on it, put some Michelins on it. Hopefully they ride nicely, because let's be honest, the best quality of a Rolls-Royce is the ride, so don't cheap out on tires. Another thing that's wrong with it is this right rear door does not open. So I'm going to hope that I can remove enough of the paneling to see what has disconnected or gone wrong so I can open it and, of course, fix it. I don't think it'll be too terrible to remedy. Also, the front seats as well as the mirrors, the controls and memory are not working. They're not moving. Now, I've come to find out that they have electronic modules that have a little internal battery. And over years, those internal batteries will go bad and leak upon the circuit board and destroy the module, and they ain't gonna work no more. Wrong accent. You see, they won't function properly. Got it. And so that's an issue. Also, the steering wheel is also possessed by the devil. And sometimes we'll just go, so we're going to exercise it and its electronic module as well. So that's something else. Trying to think what else. It appears the climate control is working properly. The radio is working properly, albeit it needs a better radio and speakers, because that's the other thing. If it's going to ride beautifully and be quiet, I want to listen to my crunchy tunes and smooth jazz or whatever it is that I feel like at any given time, because it's a Rolls Royce and I'll listen to what I like. So anyway, it needs to sound good. So probably do something there as well. If you recall, the ignition, whatever's back here holding that on, has broken. I think there was a ham-fisted mechanic possibly that just jammed it in and popped it loose. I'm not going to point any fingers, but it worked before I had tires put on it, or wasn't like that. Maybe it was ready to go, so I'm not really going to get that mad. We'll fix it anyway. Obviously do some servicing. All this car has had a lot of servicing, and that also included the high pressure braking system as well as the automatic ride height in the rear. So fingers crossed that was done well. But it appears there could be a small fuel leak up at the top of the motor. So I will be removing the top engine cover and checking that out, all the lines, making sure they're not too old and brittle, because I obviously don't want this thing popping and catching on fire. I also don't want it leaking fuel. I don't want to smell any of that. I want it to be a nice car that I can drive. So that's it. I'm going to be getting it to where it's a good service automobile where everything works properly and looks well. Because frankly, I'd just like to be able to enjoy it. It's a beautiful, exquisite, handmade, luxurious automobile. And that's neat. That's what I like. Obviously, there are other handmade cars here that reflect our passion and art over time, both Italian and American and race cars and all that jazz. And this is a big yacht. It's not a boat, it's a yacht. And I have a small kiddo and a wife, and I enjoy going places with them. And do you know, it's a lot easier to fit my little family in a land yacht rather than this here pasta rocket. So that should be the fun of it. And maybe, if I'm feeling overly saucy and slightly theatrical, I will find a way to put a little trailer hitch on it so I can take my lovely little English Formula B vintage racing in it. And you can make all the jokes you like about being a gentleman driver, or maybe a want-to-be gentleman driver, but at least I'll get to go to the track in luxury and have a great drive. And when I'm tired and beat up from racing, well, just listen to some lovely music on the way home in your Rolls. Brilliant. Okay, that's really all I've got. Here shortly, I have an old acquaintance of mine, very nice gentleman, has a lovely 1974 Rolls Royce that needs a number of little things, and he's going to send to me, and I'm going to fix that up, so there'll be more coming. And also, I'm giving serious consideration to starting my own business and opening up to do service on other people's fine automobiles, of course, including Ferrari, Lamborghini, God, I can't talk, Lamborghini, pre-paddle shifted cars, of course, and perhaps Rolls Royce and Bentley. I think it'll be a lot of fun, but hopefully we'll get to bring that to you as well. So I hope you're enjoying that I'm going to do this old Rolls Royce. God, I can't talk. Rolls Royce Silver Spur from 1996 that I bought for $8,000. As a note, in 2021, I believe, if the records are correct, the gentleman purchased this from California for $18,000 and then proceeded to spend about another $10,000 on it with regard to the braking system and self-leveling, ride height, among other things. And didn't take so great a care of it of recent, so it needed some things and had some issues. And I made a gamble on buying it cheaply because the person selling it was tired of Facebook Marketplace idiots, and I could barely even talk to him. And I'm like, fine, I'll pay it. Let's go for it. You know, and it didn't throw up any big red flags. So let's just see what the journey is. Is this as lovely as a car as we all hope it will be? I hope you all subscribe and come back later. See you next time.